Benedict Fokker here. GamerGate has fired me up. It has fired me up. I have been an observer on the sidelines, the whole time sympathetic to GamerGate, and you'll understand why when I talk about it in a minute. But I haven't really felt the need to do anything, and I haven't necessarily even known how much I'm part of this community or not. But that's the past few days. That's all changed with everything that's happening. I'm getting sucked into this because this is a big deal. Something is changing here, and I have to be part of it. I have to fight this fight with you guys, at least a little. And the other day I came across this really cool idea, and I want to share it with you. So this is my first YouTube in a long time. Definitely, I've never used this persona before, and I'm too much of a coward to reveal my real identity. So please bear with me and hear me out, because I think a lot of you will really like this idea. So first of all, let me say I followed the issue of GamerGate for years. I first noticed it when Kotaku posted that one article about how if you're white or male, it means you've played life on easy mode. Now, I didn't really disagree with what they were saying, but reading that article, I didn't really know what they wanted me to do about it, and I wondered why it was here on this gaming website. The other thing is, at the time, I felt something when I read it that I couldn't really identify, but now I understand what it was. That article was Kotaku's warning, its trigger, to let me know that I should prepare to get bullied. Now, I know that statement might cause some people to roll their eyes. I am white and male. I'm not complaining about how my race makes me a target or anything, but there's a reason why racial discrimination is so awful. And I don't care what you say. No matter what race or gender or whatever you are, if somebody singles you out because of something like that, it's awful. And whoever you are, it should make you feel awful, because it's an awful thing. Anyway, I didn't make this video to discuss political or identity issues of that nature, like race and gender and stuff. I made it because I wanted to discuss this awesome new idea for our community that came to me while I was chatting up those crazy but awesome Anons over on 8chan. And I think you know what I'm saying. This video is about how the games media, formerly known as journalists, have declared war on us, ostracized us, and how we can not only create new spaces to enjoy our culture, and let's be honest, we play games to have fun. That's all there is to it. And that's what we're fighting for, is the simple right to have fun playing our damn games. So not only can we create a new space to get informed about games, but I really think this is a moment where we can revolutionize media itself. So I have this idea, and I want your help. I want us to join together and do something. And I want this idea to get legs of its own. What I want to do, and this isn't my word, for somebody commented and gave me this word, I love it. I want to build a community-owned community. I want somewhere where there's not going to be shadow banning or censorship. But I also want the community to be able to generate content that puts the games media professionals on their toes. I want news, reviews, opinions. I want all that information to be organized without any professionals, any editors or curators. I want it all to work by community input. So, yeah, that's different. That's weird. And if we pull it off, we'll make history. But more importantly, this is exactly the sort of thing that we need. Everything we've been discussing, responsiveness to community, openness, fairness, immunity to journalistic collusion, immunity to editorial tyranny. A great place to come and get informed about games and to share our passion for them. That's what we want. That's what we need. That's what this idea is. So like I said, I don't want to make this about politics, but I can't help and perceive that there are monumental historical forces at work. I want to convince you that what these media pros, formerly known as journalists, have done is triggered a literal revolution in our culture. We're witnessing an evolution of the gamer identity into something that's greater than what any of us thought it could mean. We, as gamers, are a cultural, intellectual, social, and entrepreneurial force to be reckoned with. So let me talk about identity, this identity, the gamer identity, and my identity. I never thought of myself as like a gamer specifically. I was always just somebody who also sometimes played video games. Well, or played them a lot. There were venues like Kotaku, which by attacking the gamer identity, forced me to ask myself if it was me that they were attacking. Like, should I feel defensive or hurt by what they're saying? And I learned something from them. I am a gamer. Now, apparently, there's some people out there that think that if you speak publicly in the games community, you have to establish your credentials. I admit, I do think it's condescending for someone who clearly hasn't played a game to act like they know everything about it. I'll say this about myself. I don't play WoW or League of Legends, so I don't know, in my mind, that means I'm not really that hardcore. But I've played plenty of MMOs, joined a couple guilds, and I play many of the major titles that come out. I love FPS, RTS, RPG, and I've definitely poured thousands of hours into each genre specifically. If I had to establish my credentials in only one sentence, I'd say this. I've completed every Zelda except, sadly, I only did about 70% of Oracle of Ages, so obviously I didn't combine the codes and beat Ganon, and I let Hyrule down, and Four Swords doesn't count. But, so anyway, I guess that was more than one sentence. So, no one should really have to establish their credentials if they want to be considered a gamer. Being a gamer means one thing only. You play games, and you do it because they're fun. Am I wrong to make it that basic? I don't think so. I'll tell you, though, that all changes once you start condescending and calling out a bunch of other gamers. I'm saying this for one reason. It's not to establish my credentials. That would be ridiculous. I'm not going to ever claim moral authority within or over this community. But what I want everyone to do is to think about this idea of the gamer identity and think about their own identity. Because isn't that what makes us a community? So I was pretty outraged when I read Kotaku about the death of this part of my identity. At first, I just rolled my eyes. But now, 2 or so months later, my eyes are wide open. Like I said, this is a genuine pivotal moment in history. That might seem like a stretch, but think about how the world is changing. This is a pivotal generation. We were raised with tech. I shouldn't admit it, but I do remember firing up my family's first dial-up modem, hogging the phone line so that nobody could call into the house, so that I could check out previews on n64.com, which I think became IGN64.com, and now it's just IGN. So, yeah, I guess that makes me old, or maybe not. But either way, young, old, we're all living in the same moment. I won't really go too deeply into this, but think about it. Family life is changing. Like what a family is, that's changing. And our society itself is becoming more inclusive, like way more inclusive. Think about 40 years ago. We're more dynamic. Think of all the changes and the tech and, just different stuff about what you do in college or what you do after college. Think about the economy, how it's changing, the automation, Bitcoin, peak oil crisis, all this kind of stuff. And did I mention tech yet? So where do we fit into this? Who are we as gamers? We're the nerds, right? We're the guys who avoided conflict, who were bullied, who found a place that was safe where we could have fun, keep away from the bullies, and developed it into a hobby and then later an identity. We're clever, we're passionate, we're creative, and we're very persistent. Are we a big deal? Maybe. Or maybe not. Gaming is just something we do. But what has happened is that one group of obsessed individuals has decided that we are a big deal. They don't like it. I don't know what their deal is. Has academia and hipsterism and this modern cool kid culture created just this toxic environment that produces hate by coincidence? Is it just like this perfect storm of smug elitism? Maybe. Or maybe we are a big deal. Maybe we represent a huge chunk of that important creative class that everybody talks about. Maybe somebody out there decided that we're more influential than we think. Well, cool story, bro. We just want to play games and have fun. But let's make no mistake about what's going on here. Let's not beat around the bush. I've been following this argument. I've been listening to both sides, and I'm over it. I'm over this debate, and I'm over the idea that there's a discussion here. A group of journalist cool kids and their hipster bully allies decided at some point that they were sick of all of us gamers not worshiping their opinions and licking their boots, and they've attacked us. Now, was the struggle so bad before? Were we really all so upset about political ideas in games media? There were ethical issues, and I'm sure someone out there was pissed off that we were vocal about it and their bottom line. But did any of it necessitate all-out war within the community? I propose that none of these issues, ethics, politics, the gamer identity, gamer as supposed harassers, journalists, and their alleged nepotism, I propose that none of these issues even collectively justify the war of words that's going on right now. Now, look, you got to understand, I'm GamerGate. I am not okay with all of that stuff that has happened. But what's going on right now with the hate, with the words going back and forth, and I'm not going to be neutral and say, oh, both sides are to blame. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if you look at how insane this is right now, it's way more insane than like ethics issues, or whether somebody's friend reviewed their game for them, or whether somebody wrote about Bayonetta's boots or something, right? It's bigger. And so it's about one thing. It's about a cabal of wacko, polemicist academics and their friends in media who decided one day that they simply wanted to get rid of us, to deconstruct our identity, to put us and our lifestyle and our hobbies into submission, and force feed us whatever they choose. They have been talking about this for years. We know that. What we're seeing now, finally, is their assault. Now, I could tell you of the societal phenomenon of radical ideologues colluding with corporate pigs for their mutual benefit. I could tell you of the literally insane philosophical foundations of this particular group of social warriors. I could tell you about the last stand we made at the final city on Earth. But I won't. That was my attempt at humor. So, if you feel like applauding, now would be the best time. All right, thanks. Seriously, though, I don't care about debating things like I'm laughing at myself. That was a good try, I think, for my first video. Anyway, this is awkward now. Let's move on. I was going to say that debating these issues like feminism, I think, is something I personally don't care about anymore. At one time, I had different opinions about certain things than Kotaku, and having that discussion meant something to me. And it wasn't my chief passion, but I thought about it, I cared about it. But I just don't anymore. None of that even matters. These social justice crusaders could be advocating for cleaner vacuum filters. Like, I don't care. The content of their argument doesn't matter to me in this context. GamerGate is about their effort to deconstruct our identity and to silence and control us. This is their assault and their attack. We've been banned and censored from their sites, and we've been told that we're not wanted. Our characters have been defamed, and the world has been made to believe that we're subhuman, that our opinion doesn't even deserve to be heard because the only thing anyone needs to know about us is that we're full of hate. So, does it matter what we do? Does it matter how we try and represent ourselves to these people? They have declared that they are the ones, the games media, formerly known as journalists, who are allowed to pick the narrative and set the agenda. You can echo their beliefs and get a pat on the back, but you don't own this identity anymore. Your wishes and preferences don't matter. No matter how hard we fight in their world, this will remain true because it's what they have chosen. We can email companies and punish our enemies by withdrawing their advertisers, and some of the devs might be on our side. And we can probably just keep playing games. But what happens at the expos and the cons? What happens the next time there's big hype for a game and we want to be part of it and we want to voice our concerns, in the review process or in the design process? Are we just going to be stuck making our little pilgrimages to GameStop from time to time, coming out of our holes into the world, hoping that there might be some game that looks interesting and then buy it and then bring it home and hope it's fun? Yeah, it might be fun. We might be able to play in our home and just ignore the world and be left alone. But what if it's not? Like, what can we do about it? And what if we want to be part of a larger community? So here's the irony, and here's our path out of this situation. We need to move on to a new media of our own making. We don't have to win back the sympathy of those who have despised, slandered, and rejected us. And we can set our own agenda. All these little issues about ethics and politics or whatever, we can build something from the ground up that addresses all of them. We don't have to convince hateful people to accept our concerns. We'll address them in our own media. This is an idea that has been discussed on and off for the last couple of months. And, I'll tell you, I've looked into this, and a couple of sites are already killing it. And there are a couple of new sites coming up that seem pretty cool, too. And we're all in this together. So actually, let me name a couple of them. There's Snitch Gamer and Tech Raptor, and one that I found, this new site is powergamer.co, and they're all pretty awesome. I didn't even know about them before. I was mostly reading Kotaku, IGN, and maybe a couple of times I go to Ars Technica, but I know I suck, right? But these new sites and some of these pro GamerGate sites are pretty cool, and I think it's a really hopeful sign because it means that we don't need to actually win this fight. We just need to migrate to a better land. But I was reading on 8chan, and Anon came up with a really awesome concept. Anon was discussing the problems with meta review scores. You might know what I'm talking about. And Anon wondered if we as a community could create maybe a website with our own weighting algorithm that addresses some of our concerns about the review process. I mean, brilliant. This was brilliant. And I realized that this community is full of ideas like this. All the time. Every day, everybody has an awesome idea. And, we all know what we want from games journalism. We are creative, we're clever, and we're persistent. So I think we're actually capable of implementing all of the fixes we want if we work on it together. So let's do it. That's what this video is about. Let's start a revolution. Let's seize this moment in history like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Let's show the rest of the world what the future will look like. Let's show them a creative community full of awesome people that care about each other, who have been backed against a wall their whole lives by petty high school punks and professional, well-funded, powerful bullies. Let's show them how we fight back, how we become better and stronger in the fire of adversity. Does that sound cheesy? Well, it shouldn't. Let's get fired up. We can get everything we want for ourselves by ourselves. And by the time society notices, we're going to blow their minds. Gamers are dead. Long live the gamer. That's my manifesto. I hope you feel where I'm coming from. I hope you feel a stronger connection to your gamer identity and that you realize that we are a strong community. Because what I want to do is help create our own community-run community. I have some pretty crazy ideas for it, but if I've even piqued your curiosity and you feel fired up at all, please check out part 2. It's sort of dry, but I wanted to share this idea and these concepts with everyone. It's not just about words, it's about action. I want to make a website that's not just another threaded forum or like an indie media page. Not that there's not awesome forums and websites out there. It's just that this thing will work differently than any other website that's out there. I have a plan for how it would work, and I also have a plan for how to make it happen, which I'll also describe in part 2. So here's the question. If we're going to make a website for our community, by our community, what do we call it? Well, the community can call it whatever we want. But for the sake of a thought experiment, and because it just seems so right, I think we should call this thing longlivethegamer.com. Well, thanks for listening, and please check out part 2.